In today's video, I'm going to take you through a huge shift I'm seeing in the western suburbs of Chicago in the real estate market. And this is something I haven't been able to say for years, but I'm seeing it right now, May 2026. So you're definitely going to want to listen to what I have to say in this video. As a reminder, I'm Mike Thornton. I have a top real estate team here in the western suburbs of Chicago, based out of Wheaton, Illinois. #1 team in Wheaton, verified by Real Trends. So let us be a resource for you. We know this market inside and out. And so if you're looking to make a move here, get connected with us. Our information's in the description. But let's jump right in. So I've noticed an incredible shift in the marketplace in the last few weeks. Now, it's not completely uncommon to see a shift around Memorial Day or early summer, but I am seeing it earlier and more drastically this year, and I want to explain that today. So if you think about seasonality in the real estate calendar, generally speaking, you would see the most aggressive buyers in the early spring. And the reason being is you have pretty much holdover activity. You have nobody really doing much in the marketplace in November and December, yet that demand is still there. You have the holidays, which are taking people out into doing something else, focusing on family, Christmas, all of that. But that demand is still there. You get that in conjunction with just turning the calendar year over. People have the New Year's resolutions. They're like, we're gonna do it this year. Whatever that mindset is, they are ready to go and they are aggressive. And we see that pretty much at the end of January. You see the buyers coming back out with full aggression, trying to get the house that maybe they didn't get in the fall, and they're ready to go this year. Combine that with the fact that there's very low supply in the marketplace in that given moment, because many sellers feel like they have to wait until the grass is green, flowers are in bloom to list their homes. You have increased demand with aggressive buyers with very few houses for sale. An example, I had a client bidding on a house in North Wheaton, and literally when it popped up, and this was the very end of January, it was the only house between $1 million and 1.5 in all of North Wheaton that fed into Longfellow, Hawthorne, Washington. It was insane. So you had every buyer who was looking in that price range, looking at one property, and that was it. And so you had incredible demand for that property. It went almost $200,000 over what they were asking. Fast forward to today, if I look at that same price range in that same area, there are 10 homes for sale. And that might not seem like, oh, what's the difference between 1 and 10? Well, that is a big difference when you think about the fact that there's 10x the supply, even though it's still low basis as far as like the actual number goes. That still matters when you consider the fact that buyers have now several options and they have divided attention between 10 different properties. And if you were that same property pricing off of the comp that hit in February that I was just referencing, you're going to be in rough shape. And that's what I'm seeing in the marketplace. I'm seeing a lot of people that are pricing off of maybe that early spring comp, and it's getting them into a little bit of trouble. If you're the most updated house still in the market, you're gonna have no problem, even if you do price that way. But if you're not, and you're not rising to the very top of the list out of those 10 properties that are for sale in Wheaton, and your property, 6, 7, 8, you might have a little bit of an issue, especially if you're solely pricing off of those spring comps. In my opinion, what I'm seeing is that we should be pricing off of a blend of the fall activity and that early spring activity to hedge your bet just a little bit, because the dynamics in the marketplace are different. I see this every single year on the demand side, where you get a lot of those most aggressive buyers. Because they're so aggressive, they end up finding a place in that February, March, early April timeframe. Before you know it, you wake up, we're here in May, the second week of May, and a lot of the most aggressive buyers have already come off the market. And so that, in conjunction with the fact that there's 10 listings in that area versus 1, or if you go broader out, if I look at all of Wheaton, in April there was 95 new listings compared to March, which was 65 new listings. February was 60, January 42. So there's about double the amount of new listings in April than there is in February. So again, if you're looking just solely at those March comps because of the most recent comps, you're going to be in trouble because there was so much fewer homes for sale. That is the big key here. Now, if you're a seller and you're looking to list, not only do you need to consider more than just those most recent comps, because there's a premium in that early spring, you need to understand who you're competing against. It's not just about the comps. Remember, it's about the comps, but it's also about who else is showing up in the marketplace. And if you don't capture a buyer that first weekend, you start to lose leverage, more properties start to hit the market, and people that may have pulled the trigger on your property are saying, well, let's just go see that one first, or let's go see that one first because that one's hitting the market this week. And before you know it, a month later, you have very limited activity still. So the best thing you can do there, and it's not a great option, but you have to get right priced sooner than later. You can't sit out at that higher price where you're getting very little activity. and you need to let the activity guide you. When we talk to our sellers, we talk to them about how we know if they're overpriced within the first couple business days of showing the property based on their showing activity alone. No longer does the Z estimate matter, it really doesn't matter anyway, or the saves online or all that stuff. The best data point, the closest to whether we're gonna get something done or not, is how many people are willing to walk through the front door of that property. And I just know that if you can get to 10 to 12 to 15 showings that first weekend, you're going to have a couple offers. If you're riding at 5, 6, 7, you're probably close, but you're probably not going to get an offer because that's just not enough people willing to walk through the front door to get something done. That's generally speaking. And remember, as a seller, to get the most amount of money for your home, you need more than one offer. If you have just one offer, that buyer knows that they're not competing against anybody else and they're not going to give you their best. About 95% of the time, you're gonna get less than what you're asking. 95% of the time, if you have 2 or more offers, you're going to get more than what you're asking. And that's what you need, because you need those buyers to know that if they don't behave, like during the inspection period or whatever, that they have somebody else waiting in the wings to buy that house. That's how you get the best out of that buyer. And as a seller, that's how you maximize it. So flipping to the buyer side, what can you expect now that we're entering the middle of May here? Typically, we would see that softening a little bit after Memorial Day. I'm seeing it about a month early, which is really interesting. And I'm seeing the softening be more drastic than we typically would see. So this is definitely somewhat of a shift in the marketplace where buyers are pulling back just a little bit, or buyers are taking advantage of the fact that they have many more homes to choose from. And I think there's a little bit of agents and sellers recognizing this, where you have maybe some sellers even rushing to the market because they feel like that shift is upon us. You'll see another shift around 4th of July because people are vacationing. People are actually just, focusing on other things similar to the holidays, where your showing activity starts to go down. And then it really dips in August, believe it or not, in our market, because you have back to school. Really, it's super early here. So it's the 2nd or 3rd week of August. And so people are starting to trying to rush that last minute vacation and enjoy the rest of summer and get the kids back to school. And it's a really soft period where, as a buyer, you have some good opportunities. And then once you get to the 2nd week of September, after Labor Day, people settle back in, people can start focusing on getting a house again. And then you have about 2 months of a solid market before the holidays come back up and it becomes soft again. So if you're a buyer and a seller, obviously when you have one benefit on the one side, you have the other challenge on the other. But if you're just getting into the marketplace or you're a downsizer, these windows really do matter. And it's the difference of tens of thousands of dollars based on who you're competing with, when you hit the market, how you price your home, all that good stuff. And on the buy side, realizing there might be a different level of aggressiveness needed if there's so few homes on the market versus when it starts to open up a little bit like now, you can treat that a little bit differently and you might have a little bit better luck securing a home. So that's a shift that I'm seeing in the market. I will keep you updated on that as we progress through May into June, and then we get to that affectionately called summer slowdown where things really do balance out just a little bit. Feels a little bit more like a neutral market versus a seller's market. But I'll keep you posted because we are due for a correction at some point. We can only go so many years in a seller's market, and we've really been in one since 2013 here. And so eventually it will soften. We don't know exactly when. Is this the beginning of it? It could be. It is a little bit more drastic than I was expecting, so I'll keep an eye on it and we'll report back. But if you need anything, my name is Mike Thornton again. Have a top team here in Wheaton, and our information's in the description. Give us a call.